Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Scott Garber back in the saddle of the Profluence Sports Podcast, where we're highlighting founders, investors, executives across the sports business landscape. Today, I'm excited to welcome our next guest, Jose Diaz, EVP of Strategic Communication and Partnerships at SMAC Entertainment. We have a fun conversation, a lot to unpack, and it's not my story to tell. So, Jose, my man, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me, Scott. Looking forward chatting today.
Yeah, I'm excited as well, Jose. I mean, obviously, with what you guys have built over SMAC, with SMAC over the last 16 years, I mean, you guys have been instrumental in watching the evolution of the athlete and really helping shape what's going on in this space today. Jose, any good story, we have to go ahead and understand where you come from. So give us a little background on yourself and your journey into SMAC, and we'll build from there.
Of course. So I'm a California native. I grew up in the Bay Area. So excited. Super Bowl 60 is heading back to my home.
Yeah.
Will always be a Bay Area kid at heart. I still have my 408 number. So excited about that. But I went to school down in LA at USC. So I'm a Trojan. And I would love to say that my love for sports actually started in the Coliseum here. But I wanted to be in music. I really wanted to be a tour manager. I wanted to be on the road with artists. And then I very quickly realized what that meant, what your sleeping quarters were. And that tour bus was not for me.
Yeah.
But I did get connected to Constance Schwartz Marini, who is our CEO and founder at SMAC. This was over 18 years ago, 19 years ago. And I became her intern. She had managed Snoop Dogg at that time. So I was like, let me see the music industry. Let me see how it goes. And ultimately what I realized is relationships were key. And instead of really following music, just because I thought it was the glamorous, sexy thing to do, it was more about what the business side of it was. And I was so intrigued with what she was doing. She took her experience of 10 years in the league, a year at the record label, and almost managing Snoop for a decade, and created what is now SMAC. So I took a leap of faith as a fresh out of college student that I had no idea what really happened in business. And I went and started at SMAC at her kitchen table. So the two of us for many years worked out of a small kitchen table in Marina del Rey, and different offices, shared space. And ultimately now we've grown to 2 offices, 25 employees, 25 clients. I'm primarily focused in the talent space in music and sports. So music is still part of SMAC. And so I oversee the talent and partnership division here. So work closely on all our talent strategy, work closely on partnerships for the company and partnerships for our clients.
How cool, man. I mean, it's rare to hear in today's world, from intern to EVP and really riding that whole journey. I feel like there's a lot of folks that are trying to break into, the music, the talent, the athletic space, as they all converge sort of into one. Jose, I mean, I imagine that you have a really unique perspective to watch the evolution of the space. So give us a little background on, SMAC as you guys sort of navigated the landscape and the landscape evolved. What do you guys do now? Like, just in layman's terms, curious to learn.
So we started off as a core of just talent management. So everything you think of in the talent representation space, negotiating broadcast deals, charities, books, appearances, press, anything in that nature. That's what we started. Michael Strahan, who's a partner of the company, but also our first client, was instrumental in kind of establishing that. We then started representing Deion Sanders back before you knew him as Coach Prime. Truly, he was just retired, broadcasting at that point only. So pre-evolution of where he is today. But really, that was our key focus, was the talent representation space. And as we started seeing the business side of it evolve, content became key. And content is still very, very important. It's shifted, but we shifted our company into half talent, half content. And so unscripted productions became a big focus for us. We launched Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Sports Awards with our team over there at what was then Viacom. We ran that for 6 years. We did a $100,000 pyramid on ABC and done a lot of in the unscripted space. We then proceeded, Constance is great as a visionary and sees opportunities. Noticed Michael was wearing suits 6 days a week, 5 days on live, 1 day with NFL on Fox. What do you see him in every single day is a suit. It started off as us trying to get free suits for him because those can get expensive, and actually developed into a business.
Mm.
We saw that opportunity, that connection for Michael to reach out to his fan base and give them affordable styles. And so that's still going, but it really solidified what our company was, which was talent management, production, and business development. So currently we represent 25 clients, anyone from Common and Wiz on the music side, Nikki and Brie Bella on the WWE side, Deanna, Flores in the flag football space. I mentioned Dion and Michael, but we also have Tony Gonzalez, Terrell Owens, current player Stephon Diggs, DK Metcalf, among others. On the production side, we still have a very robust unscripted division. We just announced the Michael Vick experience that's going to be launching on BET. Very similar format to another show of ours on Prime Video that was Coach Prime that ran for 3 seasons on there. We're still going strong with a $100,000 pyramid. We also had the Underdog movie with Snoop on Prime Video, and we are producing the Madden movie starring Christian Bale and Nicolas Cage too. That's still
Sheesh.
happening. On the business development side, Michael Suits. But another one that is one of my personal favorites because 10 years ago at Super Bowl 50, also in San Francisco, we came up with the idea along with Erin Andrews of a female-focused sports license apparel line. She went to an NFL event, realized that every item was either pink or bedazzled and not for her. She's like, I wouldn't wear this. And I'm a sports fan. Her husband's a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. She's like, I go to games, not just NHL, but NFL. How do I show my fandom in a stylish way? And that led us to creating Wear by Erin Andrews, which started off with 9 SKUs. And now we're hundreds of SKUs over multiple leagues, including women's sports. And so to see that grow has been incredible. Where I pride ourselves in is we don't just stick, like I'm not just in talent, I'm not just in production, I'm not just in business development. And neither are our clients. We really weave them through as multi-hyphenates. And that's what I think one of the exciting things about SMAC.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. And, I think that we're watching the agency world change quite a bit. And, it feels like you guys have built a very strong foundation, which has allowed you guys to create these circular flywheel effects where now, one is feeding the other, and then you're able to create strategic IP and sort of recycle it all back through. And, I think what also is interesting is that the roster is very narrow, Jose, right? It's not just a quantity game. It feels more like a quality game. And so, I'm curious today, in the landscape of sports, it's changed a lot since Strahan was playing or Gonzalez was playing. We now know Dion as Coach Prime in the age of NIL. And, obviously it's opened up quite a bit of opportunity for new athletes to come in. So when you're looking at an athlete today, like what athletes or what are the signals an athlete possesses that says they're worth investing in or they fit the mold for, a roster spot at SMAC?
It's interesting that you mentioned that because when we first started SMAC, we really focused on retired athletes or soon to be retired and really the evolution of their next career. Michael, we started working with him pre-SMAC, and it was in 2008 when he had already retired. He was broadcasting with Fox. So it was really helping build the evolution. He had a failed sitcom, if anyone remembers Brothers, with Daryl Cho Mitchell and CCH founder. It didn't work, but we also realized that acting was not his strength, but we did realize that talk shows and daytime and news ended up being where he needed to go in the path. But it was really finding their different direction for them. Dion was also retired at that point, and when we started working with him and transitioning him from just a broadcaster to a marketing darling for all these brands to producing content to a college football coach with JSU and now Colorado. Tony, we ended up working with him the last 2 years of his active playing days, and we captured that in one of our Play It Forward, which was a documentary that we did with Showtime, and then really transitioned to his move into more acting. He really loves acting. He loves creating, he loves writing stories. So really transitioning him into that next phase while also keeping football in. But the difference is now these players all established their careers first. Dion, the original marketer, if you look back at the 90s, he created the persona of Prime. He created his own brand, which is what now these players are all doing at a much younger age. They're doing it in high school. They're doing it in college. And so it's interesting for us to see it's all moving earlier. They also have the opportunity to reach an audience and connect to an audience from the get-go. Michael has always talked about his experience and why he felt so comfortable in front of the camera once he retired was because he did reps. He was on the Best Damn Sports Show. He was in a media friendly market with New York. So he was always in front of the camera, and that was his practice. But now you have, Shador and Shiloh and Travis and some of our other clients who have a direct connection to their fan base. They turn on Instagram Live, they put on YouTube videos, and they have access. So that is changing completely how brands also work with the clients, but also how the clients make that connection with their fan base.
Yeah, I mean, it's super interesting, and I appreciate you sort of shedding light on that, right? And I think like it sort of bleeds into another question of, like as we start to think about this from, the athlete's lens, obviously in a retired position, we're going through an evolution of identity and we have more time to be able to dedicate to those reps. Jose, as we start to think about the demand and load of an athlete, I'm really curious from with you sitting in strategic partnerships and then working with the talent, how are we protecting the asset of the athlete and making sure that they have enough time to focus on their core responsibilities of, being the best that they can, and making sure that we're aligning them with the brands that are the best, the IP that is going to develop, but not overworking them and, putting them in a vulnerable position. From an agency lens, how do you guys find harmony in that equation there?
I get asked a lot, what are the differences between an agent and a manager?
Yep.
And I think that is kind of core to who we are, and core to answering that question is, as a manager, we're not thinking about tomorrow. We're not thinking about the paycheck today. We're not thinking about anything here. We're thinking about 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 6 years down the line.
Yep.
For us, everything that we do today, we're thinking at a longer lens. Also incredible partners of ours. A lot of times it's a very transactional. I'm not saying that every agent is that, but they have hundreds of clients. We have 20.
Absolutely.
Where we need to really focus more hands-on to really build them. So there's things that we're asking them to do now, whether it's a press cover for Sports Illustrated or, do this interview or this meeting. It may not be paid, but it would pay off in the end. But no matter what, at the core, Dion has a great quote that says, you got to keep the main thing the main thing. So
Absolutely.
The minute you start venturing off and lose focus of your core, everything else goes away. If the on-field or on-court goes away, all this other things, all these endorsements, all these press opportunities, it goes away with it. So as long as you're focused on that, we as your management team, you are entrusting us. We are here to focus and help build everything around you. So when there is time, and we're very mindful of that, we're focused on creating that. Travis Hunter, great example. Right now, he had his debut season. He got injured. Right now, his focus and the team directive is from us and working with our club partners is let him recover. We're not doing anything. Could he be doing opportunities? Could he be doing speaking engagements? Could he be doing branded posts? Yeah, but right now his main focus is recovering, getting healthy so he can get back on the field. And then everything else will come in time. I think, our clients, I'm only speaking on our behalf, and for us, they're really focused on their main job. It's easy to get distracted with new opportunities or things that can come up. But I think it's important to recognize if you start chasing a TV show, if you start chasing this over your success on the field, it all goes away.
I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a lesson just for life, right? Keep the main thing the main thing. And, seemingly we're in a world where there's a ton of distractions, and, it's so important to have the right team around you to build trust that, they understand the sequencing, the process, and making sure that they're putting you in positions to succeed. Jose, like you've been in this space for a long time, and I sort of talked a little bit about the demand that the athletes have. As a manager, I'm really curious, when we talk about brands and content and ownerships and equity, we watch some athletes be very selective and we watch some really spread it thin. How do you protect or think about enhancing that athlete's brand and taking on the right opportunities and not spreading them so thin where they go to the other side and start to dilute it? I'm really curious how you guys how you guys think about that through the managerial lens.
We all know that there's certain athletes or even talent that have every endorsement in the world, and you're just kind of associated. Not everyone can be Snoop Dogg, where you can have a beer brand, a wine brand, and a liquor brand and promote them all at the same time and let it be successful. It's really hard to navigate, all those partnerships. For us, it's really As cheesy and cliche as it sounds, authenticity is the driver for us. One, do you use the product? Because if not, your fan base and consumers are going to see right through that.
Yeah.
Two, what is the larger impact that you're really working to create? So whether it's, for Deanna Flores, Under Armour and Oakley and Gatorade have been such tremendous partners for her. But even beyond that contract, what she's pushing for is flag football camps for young girls, more access to sports and athletic, and providing funds for not just in the US, not just in Mexico, but around the world to give young girls access to this sport. So that for her is important. So, like, what is that impact?
Mm.
It is also interesting, one thing as you were asking that question that came to mind was some of our partners are, cash transactions. Like, you do these services, this is how much you're getting paid. Other partners are revenue splits. Other partnerships are more equity based. I have seen a shift with our clients and just in the industry in general. A lot of talents moving towards the equity space. They're looking for the long-term payout in 5 years, 10 years. They're hoping for the next body armor or the next poppy. That's really what they're looking at. We approach everything with a balance. So in certain partnerships, you need an established partner with built-in distribution. In other cases, you may want to start it from the ground up or license your name. And so it really varies case by case. But the key message that has been instilled to us from the beginning is, as managers, we're not here to be yes people. If you want us to be yes and tell you this is going to work and this is going to be amazing every single time, we're not doing our jobs. Our job is to really evaluate the marketplace, evaluate your reach. Does it make sense for you? Does it make sense for your audience? And also identify the challenges that you may need to overcome. So Constance jokes, we're either dream killers or dream makers. But we're going to be with you, and we're not here to say no every time. Sometimes we will find a way forward where, for instance, Aaron was told no for 3 years. It took us 3 years from Super Bowl 50 to launch that with a partner that finally said yes. That's because we believed and we saw that there was a path forward. In other cases, it makes more sense to go with an existing brand partner. Dion and Depends, for instance. This past summer, he announced, unfortunately, that he was diagnosed with bladder cancer. Part of that, it changed his whole way of living, where he now needs Depend as a product to function every day. It's impossible to create a new brand in that short amount of time. He's using the product. We went to them, and it was full on authenticity. He is using this product, but he brought his own swagger. He brought his own message. And his whole point in that goes to my point number 2, the impact, is destigmatizing wearing this product. And if he can change one person's opinion to not be so proudful, to use something that's designed to help you, we've done our job. So I don't know if that quite answered where you were going. It's a lot of different factors that we evaluate how we approach a partnership.
Well, and I think, it's not linear, right, Jose? Right? It's not like so binary where it's like yes or no. And there's so many, it's multifaceted. And, I think you touched on 2 things. Everyone for forever was just sort of chasing the quick bag, right? And I was renting my audience and, using this great platform to ultimately go build someone else's IP. And, as we've watched the professionalization of the space, now I think equity is becoming way more enticing. However, not all equity is created equal, right? And so I think it's so important, and this is just a nugget for anybody listening, one, to put the right people around you, and 2, trust the direction that they have, right? And so I think we watch so many folks try to make autonomous decisions and let ego drive it, and they end up sometimes in really bad business deals. So I think it's so important to have a management team around you that is putting you in positions to succeed. So big kudos there. And then, one thing that really stuck out, with Diana Flores, right? We spent a lot of time talking about some of the legacy folks that are doing great things, beyond the pitch. We got to talk about the visionary side of what you guys do as well. And it seems like you guys, sort of pegged that flag was going to be an emerging sport within the asset class. Talk us through the evolution of, sort of when you saw it to where you guys are at now, what, doing inside of the flag football space.
So I'll go back and tell you how we ended up working with Deanna, because I think it's important to establish that I give kudos to her because she had so much vision and she knew what was happening. Deanna and Team Mexico back in 2022 beat Team USA. And it was a monumental moment. And I think that shifted not just the sport itself, as that, we always think that the Team USA is the most dominant, that, it's such an American sport. Deanna grew up playing flag football since she was 8. And one of the things that she was always told was, no, you can't play because you're young. No, you can't play because you're a girl. No, you can't play because you're Mexican. It's an American sport. So like she's been told no, no, no her entire life. So when she saw this opportunity and she saw the sport shifting, she got asked by the NFL to be part of their big Super Bowl commercial in 2023. She then had the idea of like, my world's going to change. I need to align myself with a representation that's going to help elevate my career and not just be a 60-second commercial on the world's biggest stage.
Mm.
Well, how can I capitalize on that? So we met, our friends at the league connected us, and I was taking multiple meetings. We bonded over what her vision was for her, which every time I asked her, what do you want to get out of this? What do you want out of your career? Every single time was not about her. It was about the sport. It was about the next generation. She's young. She's 27 at this time. So she wasn't even 25 at that age, but already thinking about the impact and the legacy that she could have in the sport. She looks to Billie Jean King as one of her mentors, and seeing what Billie did for tennis and women's sports in general, she's like, I want to do that for flag. So that's what really got me excited. And it's been a long journey. It's been a long journey convincing partners. Under Armour has been a tremendous partner with us. They've invested in flag football camps in Mexico. They invested in content. We have a documentary short coming out next month that's focusing on her and flag along with Ashley Clam. And they dove right in. But the number of no's I got from after the Super Bowl commercial till Under Armour and we came to an alignment was more than you would think. Now the landscape has changed. Flag football is sanctioned in 25 states, with hopefully the goal to be all 50 states that it would be a varsity sport, that it becomes an NCAA Division I sport. It's changing, and that means access and education, especially to the women's sports side. So that's what really gets us excited. Ultimately, in 2 years, we'll have LA 28, the Olympics. Knock on wood, she will be an Olympian. I'm betting my money that she's going to be an Olympic gold medalist. And there is going to be so much hype. There is so much hype now. There's talk about pro leagues. It's all incredible to see where the sport is growing, not just here, not just in Mexico, but all over. And I'm so thankful that Deanna believed in us. As we didn't represent any flag footballs. We don't represent any other flag football players.
Yes.
But we believed in her vision, and she believed in us, and she put her faith and trust. And I think we've done a pretty good job as a team together so far.
No, I mean, you guys have done an incredible job. And, if you're that confident, we might have to go to one of these prediction markets and place a little friendly wager before, as we get closer to the games. But all tongue in cheek. I mean, Jose, it's incredible to be able to go ahead and mix that passion and vision. And then, you led me to it. But in North America, over the next, 48 months, that's crazy, 24 months, we're going to have a ton of activity, right? From the World Cup to the Olympics. There's just, the global spotlight is going to be put on us. How are you guys using these platforms and catalyzing, your talent and thrusting them into, sort of the world stage here? Maybe just focusing on the LA 28, do you guys have any big plans or, sort of vision for what that's going to look like?
Well, we have an Olympian on the roster now. We just signed DeAndre Jordan, our first NBA player. So we want to just add more Olympians to our portfolio. I think that's one. Two, for us, is the content. I think we're working, our production team is actively developing and pitching Olympic-themed stories and storytelling, whether that's a movie, a doc, or a series. I think that's something that we're really invested in. We hope this flag football project that we did with Deanna that I mentioned continues to evolve and grow as we lead up into the games. But we're also looking at brand partners. Commercials are changing. I see more and more of the industry moving away from the traditional 30 seconds, 15-second commercials into really putting their money and their media spend behind incredible storytelling. A couple years ago, we partnered with Gillette Studios to do the Cost of Winning, which would highlight the St. Francis Academy in Baltimore. And they fully funded that. It ended up finding a home with HBO. So now with Under Armour, and we're working with a couple other partners as well, creating content from the ground up, having them come in as a brand partner to tell these stories. That's what we really want to focus, whether it's soccer with the World Cup. I mean, we have North America extremely excited about that starting. Winter Olympics is around the corner. You
Yep.
have Women's World Cup coming, and then you have the Olympics in this backyard in LA. So for us, content is going to be a key driver, but not in the traditional sense. Like the traditional broadcast networks or streamers, they will still be there. We love them. They're our partners, but we really want to focus on building stories and telling stories from the ground up with our brand partners. That's a
No,
key.
I mean, you hit the nail on the head. And, at Profluence, we say sort of the three C's that are shaping the next wave of business is, content, code, and capital. And, the storytelling component of what we're doing as we move into the generative and agentic AI phase of, life. I think storytelling is one of those elements that makes us human. Jose, real quick, and then we'll start to turn the corner and bring this thing home. These folks that you're talking to or talking about have enormous communities, and the storytelling continues to bring folks into their gravitational, sort of circle there. How are you guys thinking or coaching these athletes to take their followings and create real community around them, which gives depth to brands to sell through? Is that on the roadmap? Are you guys doing anything in that, sort of community category right now?
It's interesting because that is what they've been doing if it hasn't been so direct. Dion doesn't have his own YouTube channel, but his son runs Well Off Media, and that has been extremely successful. So not just building a community, but also as a recruiting tool. That's what the university, along with their own social team, really have built. There's a CU aunties that kind of developed from that. So you start seeing these pockets of their fan base going. Travis has an incredible support system on YouTube and Twitch. He loves streaming. He loves playing video games. That is, for him, it's fishing, family, faith, and video games is the one that doesn't quite fit in the F's, but
The F's.
he really, like, those are when you describe him. And so he's built not just a community on his own socials, but through streaming. And I think that's something that more and more talent, you see people like Drewski and iSpeed, like everyone just on platform. So that's pretty exciting for us. For Deanna, for instance, she's newer to content. So she's working on, we were at a shoot last week and she had her little camera and she's like, I'm starting. He's like, I see the benefit of it. So we're advising her, connecting her with our media partners, our partners at YouTube and the league, and really figuring out what her strategy is for that connection, because that community is so crucial.
Absolutely.
What I was saying earlier with Michael and Dion having to do traditional media to build their personas, to build their brand, you don't need that anymore. And I think that's what's evolved and changed so much from even 10 years ago.
Hell, from just a few years ago, right? I mean, it's changing so quickly now. It's quite incredible. Jose, we're going to go rapid fire to wind this thing down. You've had the chance to work with some of the coolest talents. Is there a single project that sticks out to you over the 15 years that you've been building SMAC that was just far and away the most memorable, impressionable project that you worked on? If so, and you're able to share, we'd love to hear what that was.
Most incredible live moment was seeing Kobe Bryant getting slimed in gold at Nickelodeon Kids Choice Sports Awards. That was awesome. We have a photo here in the office. I'll never forget that. That was just one of the highlights. Most impactful moment was actually Erin Andrews partnered with a Hologic, which is a testing company. If you go to your doctor, you'll probably see a lot of Hologic branded items. That was more impactful because of the messages. She got so many messages saying, I caught cervical cancer early and you saved my life. And that brought me back to reality of the things we do, we kind of take for granted. We move a lot. We're like, we're doing a deal, we move on, we get this. And you forget the impact that a partnership can have in saving someone's life because of a message that Erin put out. Shook me. And to the day is like one of my most impactful. It's not the sexiest, most glamorous campaign, but it is about that impact.
I almost don't even want to ask you the last question. I mean, that just feels like such a poetic ending, but I'm going to, just because this is how we end all shows. I mean, Jose, the space is moving so quickly right now. And in order for us to keep up, I believe we all have to be lifelong learners, right? It's changing at a speed that's so accelerated. Jose, talk to us. How do you stay relevant with culture, with business, with tools? Are there books that you're reading, podcasts that you're listening to, so we can continue to grow alongside of you?
That's a good question. I definitely don't know everything and don't even claim to know everything. The best skill that we have that we say is if we don't know anything, we ask for help. I'm learning so much from our new employees and colleagues that come in. AI, for instance, there's a lot of hesitation. I'm trying to learn and read up as much on that, talking to our partners. How do we incorporate that? Some of the creative communities always a little bit, when you hear AI, I see a lot of hesitation, but it's how do you implement that? We are not a company that's going to be AI first forward because we're a relationship based business, but we still have ways that we use it and utilize it. So for me, it's really diving in and learning. I go to, panels, whether it's CAN, and learning from some of our colleagues, hearing what they're doing, especially in this space. That was one of the topics that was covered extensively this past summer. That's something that I was interested in. Last year, I did go to CES, so really learning what they're doing. So really trying to be present at certain events throughout the year to hear what colleagues of mine and also people I look up to and admire in business are really going.
Listen, I think that's a nugget that we can all take and implement into our world. It's continue to be curious, and then go find people that are experts in that space. I mean, Jose, I don't know about you, but if you can make friends in this world, you can unlock a hell of a lot of knowledge, right? So go learn how to make friends, go be insatiably curious, and buckle up, because the projects and the frontier that SMAC is forging as they manage and continue to manage some of the most elite talent is nothing short of incredible. So, Jose, from the Profluence Group, thank you so much for everything you and the team are doing, and I'm excited to continue to follow your success and build alongside you guys.
Thank you for having me. It was so much fun.
Awesome. We'll do it again soon. Talk soon.
All right, take care.